All right, let's show you how to use Rufus to create a bootable USB. So when you're creating a actual physical device as opposed to a virtual, we need an expanded version of the image file, the ISO. So the ISO basically is a zipped file that takes an image of a disk and creates a single file from it, or takes all the files on a disk and creates a single file from it that we call an image file or an ISO. We want to do that process in reverse. We want to take the ISO and we want to expand it so it has all of the file folders that the installer needs. So an application that does that for us, and this is one of many, is called Rufus. So here I have Rufus open. So just as in the VM where I need the ISO, this is kind of the extra step. I also need a USB device. So here I have a bootable USB that's out there. Now be careful if you're running more than one USB. You want to make sure you're selecting the correct one. So make sure you know what the capacity of that USB is, if it's called anything. Now notice this one is called boot, so I've already used it to create a bootable USB for something else. So I'm going to select my device. There's only one there. I'm going to choose the boot selection, hit select, and I'm going to go, and here I have an ISO file folder. So here I'm going to use, in this case, my Linux Kali. All right. So open that guy. All right. Now, that's pretty much it. The next step, we hit start. Right? It says, oh, by the way, there's new versions of syslinux are not compatible with one another. It won't be possible to run Rufus to include them all. So 2 additional files must be downloaded from the internet. Okay. So yes, I want to download these 2 additional files from the internet. All right. So boom. Okay. It's ready. So now notice I have options here. This particular image file that I'm providing to you is a hybrid image, a hybrid file. It is, you can turn it from ISO. Right, so it can be written as either an ISO image file or a DD image, disk image. Well, in this case, for whatever reason, Linux Kali prefers the DD. So we're going to select that image mode. Right, it was recorded that way, or it expands better that way. So we're going to click OK on that, and then all data and device is going to be destroyed. Are you sure you want to do this? Now I'm not going to go through and do the install because after here it's just watching paint dry. But here we'd say yes, and boom, Rufus takes care of the rest. When you're done, you have a bootable device, you plug into a machine and boot to it, and off to the races you go. I will warn you that there are 2 things you can do with this Linux boot. You can run what's called a live version that runs right off the USB, or you can use the installer. Now, for the purpose of the laptops, we're going to use the installer. But you can take this USB to any device, plug it in, boot to it, and you'd have a live running version of Linux. Now, it runs in a degraded mode because you're running it off the USB, but it's still a full functioning version of Linux. Okay. All right. So I'll let you go at that point. You have the ISO you can download from Google Classroom. You have the Rufus file. Right. Make sure you're on one of the laptops that can connect to the internet because of those file warnings that you get early on. And once you run through the process, you'll have a bootable USB that you can use to install Linux on the laptops. If you have any questions, you know where I'm at.